Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the RMTV Women's podcast. This is episode 112. Wow, absolutely racking through these podcasts. I'm joined today by Emma. Emma, how are you doing this lovely Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm good. I just want to apologise to the viewers of my attire because I'm a very late super sub. I'm calling myself a super sub, but so I've just been doing a little workout on the bike and then sort of had to jump in. So I feel like I'm not respecting the professionalism of your.
Oh, don't you worry. I don't think we have much around here. But yeah, Lauren's not feeling very well, so Emma has stepped in, which we are very, very grateful for. And we have a few little topics to discuss today. Nothing too major. First of all, obviously, the weekend's result, absolutely brilliant. I finally got to go to the game for the first time this season. Honestly, it's such a nice feeling, like the first game back. Obviously, you might have been the same when you went to the first one, since we've all been allowed. It was just such a nice. It's a familiarity, and in times that everything is so unfamiliar, like going back there and seeing people you go with that you used to every single time last season. And then like the You'll Never Walk Alone when it comes on, and obviously fans being there as well, it just felt like normal again, which I think is something that we all have missed for so long. But yeah, absolutely unbelievable, and it paired well with the result as well of 4-0 against Crystal Palace, who at times don't just roll over. So I think it definitely reflected the scoreline, and it was a massive 3 points. Obviously, it being the last home game of this year, to then finish on such a high, which is just crazy to say in itself. Where has this year gone? But the last home game of the season to get 4 goals and a couple of a couple of different faces on the score sheet as well. It was so nice to see, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was our best performance of the season so far, and I think if you probably asked the players and the staff, they'd probably say the same. It was just like from the get-go, they just seemed to click really well.
Yeah.
And like we've seen that at times this season. I think we saw it against Charlton Athletic. They had a good performance against them.
Yeah.
They started off that first 20 minutes, half an hour, sort of against Durham. They were kind of the opposite really. So it's interesting to see how they not the inconsistencies during games, but the times where it's not quite there. But it was there for the full 90 minutes on the weekend, which was just really good. And like you say, new faces on the score sheet. Amy Rogers coming back from injury and her scoring, and just you could see how much it meant to her and the players celebrating. And I, because obviously I couldn't go this weekend, so I was watching it on LFC TV, and they had Kirsty Linnett with Steve Hunter on commentary, and she was absolutely delighted for Amy, and she was cheering and saying how much it would mean to her and stuff. So that was nice to hear. And then obviously, but for me, the main thing was seeing Emily Thester up on the score sheet, because
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's no denying, she's been a little bit of a slow starter. I'm a big fan of her. I think she'll do really well with Liverpool, but she's not quite hit it at 100% yet. So I think the more she gets on the score sheet, or the more opportunities she's creating for her teammates, that'll only give her confidence.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, you touched on Amy Rogers there. She was actually, when we do our little poll at the end of each game for player of the match, she was the one that everyone picks, and I think rightly so as well. I think you could tell when she was actually on commentary with Steve Hunter a couple of the other games that have been on, and each time Steve would sort of say to her how much you're looking forward to getting back. I think being injured, especially with our squad being so small, I think we feel like we miss players a lot more, and I definitely think she's been one that sort of stepped up the start of the season, and to have her missing for a few games definitely hindered us in some ways. But if anyone would like to have their say in our polls after the game, a nice little promo here, now is the time for me to remind you of that. As soon as the game, we put one out, so make sure you have your say, and then we announce it a couple of
I voted this weekend, and I voted for Amy.
Well done. It was a clean sweep for Rogers. I think Babajide was close behind because she scored 2, which we'll come on to as well. But yeah, I agree with what you say about Thester as well. I think the way that Liverpool announced her when she first signed was that she is a goal scorer, and is a constant goal scorer, and gets these scrappiest goals. And unfortunately, we haven't seen too much of that recently. I don't think you can fault her work ethic off the ball. You can't fault her movement or anything like that. The only thing you could fault was how many goals she was scoring. And you sort of hope now that goal is what she needed to sort of open those floodgates and really push on, because I think we really sometimes do need that number 9. And I think obviously we rely on Babajida with her pace quite a lot out on the wings, but we do need that one central person. And I think that player can definitely be her.
Yeah, definitely. And I think given the injuries to Jess Clark, and obviously Ash Hodson went off during the game on the weekend as well. So she might miss a couple of games. I think it was just good timing really for Thestrup to kind of come on and obviously have that impact. So you're right. I think I obviously spoke to her when we signed her way back in, when was it, August, July, I can't remember now.
All the same.
And obviously all the focus then, like you say, it was on kind of the fact that she was a bit of a poacher, and that she was a brilliant goal scoring record in Denmark. So that was obviously what Vicky Jackson brought her in for, because we lacked goals last season. I still don't think, like you say, I still don't think we've seen that from her yet, but we have seen everything else. And I think it's just a case of her sort of working with her teammates and figuring out when to time those runs or where to make those runs. And we've seen it, especially over the last 6 months, and I know I've said this so many times, so I'm sorry, but the relationship between Fernie and Rins, like, that's really, really developed, and like they just know where each other's going to be. And they sort of had that relationship, and that's quite often obviously on the left side of the pitch, and you do see Thestrup sort of drift more to the right, and you hope that relationship between her and the likes of Mel Lawley and Ash Hodson starts to develop the longer that Thestrup obviously plays.
Yeah, I agree. Those sort of things just take time, don't they? We forget it's not really been that much of a season, or it doesn't feel like it to me anyway. It feels like it's only been about 4 games, but when you actually look at it, it's been quite a lot. But these things take time, and she's not actually played a full 90 minutes on many occasions, so I definitely think that's something that she'll want to achieve and really boost up those partnerships. Just mentioning Babajida a little bit there, and how much of an impact she's having this season. I think there's a lot of talk around her, obviously, with the Lionesses squad. There was questions, not questions, but there was things raised whether Phil Neville thought she was sort of the future of England, things like that. How important is she to our Liverpool squad? Because she gets that early goal on the weekend, and we're already on the front foot for the whole entire game, and she just week after week seems to be improving, which from our point of view it is just nice to think that we have that caliber of player in our squad.
Yeah, she's massively important, absolutely huge. And like you say, it's the caliber of player that she brings. It's the quality, it's the pace, it's the way that she draws defenders away, because defenders are scared of her. And again, this was something that Kirsty Linnett said on commentary. She said no one wants to defend against her in training because she's a nightmare.
It's she's the change of pace as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's that, bang on. It's that acceleration. It's the pace. It's the strength that she has in terms of holding the ball up. Her deliveries have been. I think that's something that she's improved on this season as well. Her deliveries have been really good. And obviously, we've seen her score some cracking goals. So she's got the whole package. And that is obviously really important for Liverpool. But yeah, for me, she draws defenders to her. A lot of teams, they'll double up on her. That creates spaces for the likes of Fernie, Thestrup, Jess Clark, whoever is in Ash Hodson, whoever is in that sort of forward role to move into. And that's what I think she really brings to the Liverpool side. But yeah, look, there's no denying Rins' importance, but I do think that the team that she has around her and some of the sort of leaders in the Liverpool squad are really important for Rins to perform as well. And that's where I'd like to see her develop more individually. And I think these experiences with England are starting to give her that. They're starting to give her that sort of self-confidence and that belief that she can sort of take on a bit of responsibility on her own, and we're starting to see that a bit more with her at Liverpool now this season as well, which is really good.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of that comes from Fernie as well. I think Vicky's given Furness a lot of sort of impetus to really bring that side out of. I love that word. Did you get that word? Amazing. I think Fernie's been able to really bring out something in Rince that we necessarily didn't see too much last season. But I completely agree with your delivery. Her crossing is just unbelievable. But I think the good thing about our squad is I think they each make each other play better. It's not always a singular performance. I think Fernie helps the front three play better, and then the defence and the holding midfielders help Fernie play better because she's more free. I think the system that we sort of have at the moment seems to be working, and that sort of shows good fortune for the future.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of what I was touching on before, in that it was a consistent 90 minutes, because like you say, it just seemed like there was that cohesion between the whole team. And when everyone's doing their roles and they're doing them well, then we've seen Liverpool play some really, really nice football. And that's why results against like WSL teams, you know, obviously the win against United, that it's not a fluke, because you know, we know that they can produce these performances. It's just a case of doing it over the course of 90 minutes now and doing it consistently, because we know how strong this Championship League is. And for me, you know, Liverpool we can't really afford to be dropping points anymore. So that performance was just such a good boost to see that what the staff and the players have been working on is sort of finally being showcased across a full game. So yeah, it was really good.
It was good. And obviously I don't think we can skip over the fact that fans were allowed back in. I think we've got written down here we were just short of 200 fans, which, given the time that Liverpool had to set up this system where it only allowed people from a Liverpool postcode in pretty much 24 hours, obviously we all want there to be more fans involved, and hopefully we get to that stage. But it was just so good. I don't know how it felt from watching it from the TV, but actually being in the stadium, hearing some of those infamous chants that we all kind of love but hate at the same time. But yeah, just to hear the fans back in the stadium, I hope that came across over on the coverage as well.
Yeah, you could hear it, and you could hear, especially you know, after like Amy Rodgers, when she scored, you could hear them singing her name, and that was really nice. That was probably I'd say like one of the loudest moments was the Amy Rodgers chant. But no, it was really good. Like you say, it was really good for the quick turnaround of the club. They could have quite easily, you know, we've seen like Everton, who are obviously a WSL club, Willie Clerk admitted in his press conference the other day that, you know, they had a short window, so they had to prioritise Goodison Park, because that was, you know, a 2-week window rather than a couple of days. Whereas, you know, Liverpool ensured that they had fans at Anfield and at Prenton Park. Yes, it was only just under 200, but
something,
you know,
isn't it?
Yeah, and the word put in, you know, I think I messaged the morning after the game and just said, you know, can you give us a bit of information on kind of what the window was? And you know, they said it was, the tickets opened obviously Friday morning. They had to close it Saturday night. They had to follow FA protocols. There's all these strict measures that have to come into place, and they have to get the health questionnaires ready and everything like that. So fantastic work by the local staff. So well done to them, and well done to all the fans who braved the cold weather and yourselves.
It was freezing.
It was great. It was great.
I've not felt that cold in a while, but it was absolutely worth it. It really was. Moving on a little bit then, staying on the topic of Liverpool, obviously, a couple of days ago, I think it's Monday, it was announced that Liverpool FC Women were announcing 3 new appointments. I think the main one really being Emma Humphrey's replacement as assistant coach. Obviously, she's moving on. It's Amber Whiteley as assistant manager, and that comes from a current role as under-21s head coach and the technical director at LFC's regional talent sort of club. I love the fact that it's coming from internally. I think it helps with sort of the ethos of the club, and she obviously knows some of these players anyway. She then knows the youth pathway to bring up younger players. Obviously, we know that Bo Kearns and Lucy Parry have come sort of up through that way, Amy Rodgers as well. So sort of bridges that gap as well. And obviously, she'll have been in the mix for a while now, sort of alongside Emma Humphreys, learning different things and that. But it's a great appointment, I think, for the team and going forward.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, she has been around the first team for a while now. I think, you know, at least a couple of months, if not longer. I think she's very well respected by people at Liverpool. I think she's the type of coach that like has a really good eye for detail, and that will be really useful for Vicky and the squad. And yeah, obviously the youth players is something that's really exciting, because yeah, we've seen, you know, you mentioned 3 of them there, and then you've got the likes of like Mia Ross and a Heaps, the goalkeeper as well, who's sort of been in and around the first team squad during pre-season, a little bit sort of around the Conti Cup. So there are a couple of other names to look out for, but yeah, she's certainly gonna add value to the squad. Obviously everyone's sad to see Emma go, but yeah, I mean, I think Amber is a very, very good replacement, and I don't think we'll see any difference in terms of drop off in the staff. If anything, you know, she can come in and give a boost alongside the other 2 additions that are obviously coming as well.
Yeah, we'll touch on them briefly. You've got Dr. Leon Creaney and Dr. Francesca Cham. I've definitely butchered some of these names, but you know, we'll go ahead.
You're doing so well.
I know. It was so Dr. Francesca Cham joins as the club's first performance psychologist, which I think really kind of shows the steps that the women's team is trying to get into. I think people these days really realize how important psychology is in the game, and if you can get that sort of one edge over on the team, if it comes from a psychological perspective, it shows that Liverpool are trying to take everything as serious as possible. And by bringing in the Shap, it just shows these new appointments, it just shows how much they're trying to progress forwards, especially in terms of coming back from injuries. I know some of them have had quite significant injuries, as Jess Clark has had quite a few. Obviously Ash Hodgson, hopefully that isn't too bad, but coming back from an ACL as well, these are quite tough things to be coming back from, but now these players know they have a safe place to go, and that can only benefit them in the long run, or even in short term and performance wise on the pitch as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on one of your points in terms of bringing new staff members in, that's always good to see, because like you say, it shows that the club are
growth, isn't it?
Yeah, they're constantly looking to grow the women's team and seeing how they can take to that next step. And I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see any more additions over the next couple of months. But yeah, I think the psychology side is something that I've always been like, I have no idea about it, but I've just always been really interested in it. It's the kind of thing that I ask a lot of questions about in terms of, you know, pressure, mentality, expectation, all that kind of stuff. And that was, you know, the kind of things that I was sort of asking Vicky Jepson in the summer, sort of ahead of the season, was how are the players going to cope with the expectation of being the favourites in the Championship, the pressure of wearing the Liverpool badge, the pressure of sort of them being the team to beat. And you know, she's obviously spoken about it, you'll know, a little bit so far this season, you know, the Durham game where obviously they had the lead and then sort of, you know, ended up coming away with only a point. So we have seen them kind of had to work through those barriers and learn from those experiences already this season. So I think having somebody come in and just hopefully, you know, add to those details and give them that little bit of an edge in the mentality side of things is obviously going to be another string to the bow that the coaching staff and the players can take on board, and hopefully you know, we'll gain some more points from it.
Hopefully, well, that's the aim, isn't it? Creating that bigger picture. But as you said, it just shows growth in the team, which I think is unbelievable, and obviously long may that continue. We'll briefly touch on something that's quite sweet that happens every single year. The Guardian do their annual ranking of women's footballers from 1 to 100, I think it is. I think it's 100, yeah. There's been some decent names in there so far. We're not going to go too much into it because we suggest you go and read it yourselves, and then you can see. But the one question we are going to answer, which I'm going to ask Emma first because I'm still thinking mine, is who do you think is going to be number 1 top spot best women's player this year?
So yeah, so I'm a big fan of Viviana Miedema. I've said this lots of times. I think she's fantastic. I think she isn't appreciated by the wider footballing world for who she is, the qualities that she's got. and I think she's the kind of player who we just really need to enjoy in the WSL at the moment. So I think she'll certainly be in the conversation. If she's number one, I'd be more than happy with that. But for me, I just think over the last year, I'd probably go for Pernille Harder, mainly because of her Champions League exploits, kind of how she just sort of seemed to carry that team, and then obviously she's now the most expensive signing in women's football.
That's got to mean something, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And she's come to Chelsea, and I think she's done really well. So she would be the number one for me.
Yeah, I think there's obviously got to be a shout for Lyon players as well, as they are in every single year. They're always going to be up there. But I think I'd probably go for Miedema, just to be different from you. I like to be shocked if it's neither of those two, like fine. But I think with what they've achieved this year with both their respective clubs, I think it's in with a shout for both of them being there. But yes, encourage everyone to go and have a look at that. It comes out every year, and it's always quite exciting to see who gets that top spot.
Yeah, it's worth saying as well, just to name drop, because obviously I know you said it was the Guardians, but they do work alongside the Offside Ball Pod as well, don't they?
Yeah.
So we'll give them a shout out.
You get a shout out.
But no, like, it's really good because it's loads of judges, isn't it? And it's coaches, it's people from media, it's players. So it's a really
covers all bases, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Awesome. And then we'll quickly end it on the fact that it was the Football Content Awards last night, and it was just a pleasure for us as a podcast to be nominated. I know Lauren would think the absolute same. And the one thing that came out for me was just how much representation of women's football there is now, and to be sort of even classed as in some of the same be classed in the same category as some of these other people is just phenomenal, and it shows how much channels like this sort of matter to people and how much of a community it can be. So I think that was the women's football was a real winner yesterday.
Real winner. Yeah, no, like, you guys should be so proud. I was so glad that you guys got nominated, so well done.
I know, great.
But yeah, I mean, like, we were really happy because we won the women's football for the organisation at BBC, so I was like really chuffed because that's been something that I've massively put a lot of effort in over the last year and like really pushed for as more women's football coverage. So so I was really happy sort of for our team on that. But yeah, like you say, in terms of like the content creators, it was amazing. Obviously we saw Georgia Stevens win, and she's done stuff with RMTV, and she's obviously done the Ultimate Goal thing on BT recently, and then we saw that our friend Sarah Halpin, and the likes of Samantha Miller as well. Obviously they were in the top two as well. So
they're all doing their part.
Yeah, you're right. Like, they're all, there's some fantastic people who work really hard and are really passionate about the game. And like you say, I think it showed how important, these kind of content creators like yourself and Amy, who are little heroes, all the time and effort that you put in. I think it shows how much it's appreciated and how much people respect your work and your opinions. So well done.
It was great to be on. I know it's the cliche, but genuinely it means quite a lot to us to even be nominated alongside some of those people. But
I think you should do a thank you speech. You need to thank your mum, your dad.
Yeah, I'll thank everyone who subscribes, who likes the video. Ooh. But no, yeah, it was great, and all of the winners deserved it well and truly. We'll go again next year.
You'll smash it.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's a pleasure to be named alongside some of them. But there we go. That is the podcast this week. A little bit of news, mainly Liverpool based, which is always good because we know about that. Yeah. So that's absolutely perfect. But thanks so much for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. We hope she feels better soon, and I'm sure she'll be back next week if she's okay. I'm pretty sure she will be, but we
fingers crossed.
Back next week. You might have to be a regular starter.
Just let me know so I can wash my hair next time. give me advance warning.
Oh dear. Anyway, thank you so much everyone for watching. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you write a comment on this video, whatever you want. Yes. Who do you think?
Tweet about it.
Yeah, who do you think the number
Subscribe.
one footballer is going to be? Because I would like to know, which would be
Yeah.
great. But yeah, make sure to follow us on all of our social media. Emma's too. It will be in the description. And make sure you subscribe, because that is the most important factor of all of this.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back soon with another video. Sarah.
See ya.